Hi, I'm Anna,
And I'm Andy.
and we're going to show you how to claim the foster youth tax credit as a VITA volunteer. Okay, so thank you so much for being a VITA volunteer in your community to help young people who are current or former foster youth claim the foster youth tax credit. This is a new credit that's worth up to $1,083. This is our first year, so we're making history together and helping young people improve their housing, food security, and as well as helping them with their education or financial hardships that they may be experiencing. So thank you for helping young people boost their income by learning about and correctly claiming this tax credit. So this tax credit is actually a state tax credit only in California. We're the first state to do it. So when I say historic, that is definitely what I mean. You're making history here. And Andy, so if I'm a VITA volunteer, you're going to help me walk through how to help a young person with a sample tax return. So let me share my screen and we will get started.
So, as you see on this screen, we're going to go right under the health insurance section. The state section is where we're going to find this credit. And we're going to see that under the state return, the state of California, we're going to go ahead and click on that little pencil to indicate that we're going to edit our state return. Once we're in the California return, we're going to go down to look for the credit section, state specific tax credits. Let's go ahead and click edit. And we're going to see a couple different credits that people can be eligible for. The one we're looking for in this case is that last one, California Earned Income Credit and Foster Youth Tax Credit. Let's go ahead and click edit. And this is going to be a little confusing because you're just going to see foster youth tax credit at the top. There's going to be a couple of questions, but we're going to want to scroll to the right to indicate that we want to begin the foster youth tax credit.
Okay, so I'm going to actually skip over these for now and just move over here and click begin.
Great. And now under foster youth tax credit, we're going to see a little description about eligibility for this particular credit. We'll go ahead and read over that. And we're going to be asked two questions about the taxpayer. One, is the taxpayer eligible for the FYTC? And two, does the taxpayer in question give their consent and authorize the California Department of Social Services to share limited information about you, the preparer, with the California Franchise Tax Board for purposes of verifying your eligibility for the FYTC? Anna, do you want to talk a little bit about the importance of these two questions?
Absolutely, Andy. So these are the things that we have to do in order to get young people this money. We have to get into the state return and we have to click yes on both of these. Now, the young person does not have to give consent if they don't want to, but if they say no, they won't get that credit. So as a VITA volunteer, it's important to kind of explain this to young people that what does this consent mean? Well, if we click yes here, what's going to happen is the Franchise Tax Board, which is the state kind of version of the IRS, they will work through a data system with the California Department of Social Services to securely verify that this person was truly in foster care at that time. So if I was age 13 or older, in foster care or out of home placement probation, I would qualify for this credit if I was ages 18 through 25 in 2022. So, but the only way that the Franchise Tax Board will know that that's true and not fraud is that this is verified in their data system. So you're only giving consent for a select authorized person to check that that is true. No one else will see this or know this, but that person within Franchise Tax Board. And that allows them to verify that indeed you do qualify. So if we click no, we won't get it. So we do have to check both yes and yes. So there's some more questions here, Andy. Now what do I do?
Thanks, Anna. The rest of the questions are optional. We're first going to be asked if the taxpayer's name was different while in foster care than the name they're currently giving on their tax return.
Great. So this is because if my name was different when I was age 13 in foster care, that's what the department is going to share with Franchise Tax Board is my name. I might have gotten married since, I might have gone through a legal name change for several different reasons. So I can leave this blank if my name is the exact same, but if it's changed at all, I'm going to put, for example, let's say I changed my name from Anna to Emma or vice versa. So I would put the name that was in the system when I was in care right there in those boxes. Now, as a VITA volunteer, we've got to make sure that I spelled this exactly the way that it would have been at that time. So spelling really does matter here. It's a data system that's verifying. So this is going to help it be correctly run through that data. Okay, so I've got the name correctly spelled. I've double checked with that young person that I spelled it correctly. Now what do I do?
You're now given an option to provide some sort of proof through a PDF letter confirming the individual's eligibility for FYTC status as a foster youth at or age 13.
All right, so this is completely optional. We don't want this to be a barrier to filing taxes and getting their refund as quickly as possible. So if I'm a VITA volunteer and I do have a letter that the site coordinator or the intake coordinator was able to gather with that tax preparer or with that tax person, I'm going to go ahead and upload it here. This is going to help make sure they get through the verification process on time and quickly year one in implementation. But if they don't have it, I'm going to skip over this section. We don't want it to be a barrier. So I'm noticing in my client's folder here, we do have a letter, or I've asked, hey, Andy, do you have a letter? If not, we'll move forward. So Andy says, yes, I have a letter. So I will go ahead and click on begin. And oops, I had already practiced this. So if you don't have a letter, this is what it looks like. So it says add a name, or sorry, let me start again because I had cheated and gone ahead. Here's begin. And when you click there, it's going to ask you to drag and drop that letter in. So you click right here in this box, or you drag it over from your computer. And I'm going to put a sample PDF in there. And I can view it to make sure that it's the right thing that I've uploaded. It's a true word of the court letter or verification letter from foster care. I'm using a PDF for this webinar just to show you what it looks like. But in this instance, you'd be using a use word of the court letter or verification. You can see that you've uploaded the right one, and then you click continue. So with that, it brings us lastly to just some information here. As a VITA volunteer, I can explain to the young person that if for any reason you get a letter from the Franchise Tax Board in the mail asking for more proof of your eligibility, that they weren't able to verify you, that there is this contact information for where to get assistance with moving through that verification process. So we've done our best as a VITA volunteer to make sure that, yes, we're providing consent, that we've got the correct name from the time they were in foster care, and to the extent possible that a letter's been uploaded. If all else fails, they can still call this number to verify and get through that process. So everything we've done is to reduce the chances of this happening, but it may still happen. And this is where we would redirect them if they need help communicating with Franchise Tax Board and proving their status. So, Andy, I think that's it, and I can just continue.
That's
so now
right.
What do I do?
Now it's going to take you back to this California Earned Income Credit and Foster Youth Tax Credit page. Let's go ahead and all these questions should not be applicable, but just go ahead and make sure that they are not to the tax the taxpayer. And go ahead and scroll down.
Right. All of these are super rare, right, Andy? Like
that's right.
This is, inmate wages, in-home support services, always going to be blank for the majority of our foster youth clients.
That's right. So assuming that is the case, go ahead and click continue at the bottom of the page. And there's going to be a couple other credits that the youth may be eligible for, specifically that renter's credit. Do you want to go ahead and click edit on that, Anna, to show folks?
Yeah. So here we are. And all we do for the renter's credit is say yes or no. So a majority of young people ages 18 to 25 are renting. They don't have a mortgage yet. where they're in some position of renting a room, renting an apartment, or they're in a transitional housing program that may require them to pay some amount of their own money towards rent. And so for many, they'll be saying yes, and some of them may not be, maybe living with a family member or a relative or adopted or something, in the sense where they're not actively paying monthly rent. But if you've lived in California for half the year, you've paid rent for more than half the year, we can click yes and continue.
Awesome.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and take a look and make sure there's no other credits they may be eligible for. But assuming that is not the case, we'll go ahead and click back. That'll take us back to the California return page. And once we make sure that none of these other aspects apply to the taxpayer, we can go ahead and exit California return, taking us back to the main page.
Great. So we'll hit continue from there and move forward to the summary section of the return and discuss with the young people the tax credits that they're receiving and how they'll get their refund. And then we move forward to help them e-file, add their bank account, and make sure they can get that funding, those credits as soon as possible. So all of these steps are important, and that is how you actually technically claim the foster youth tax credit in the TaxSlayer system that's provided to VITA volunteers. So thank you, Andy, for helping me show folks, and thank you all for helping foster youth get their money year one and make history. All right, we'll see you soon, and email us or call us with any questions.
Thank you.